moving from the traditional platform to an open platform is always not easy. And we always need the ecosystem to create the different possibilities. And later, I will show you how Advantech builds the foundation to meet these challenges, along with our partners here. Now, before to start this ecosystem discussion, first, here are some, I would say, the big trend that drive this trend moving forward. I mean, the software-defined automation. And here are some topics we already covered, like, for example, cybersecurity or functional safety. All these new requirements actually is pushing the industry forward to catch the trend of software-defined automation, or we call it decoupling from hardware to software. However, there are some few more market requirements or their desire to have this kind of features to drive the industry or even the whole world forward is a scalability and the trends of AI and the digital twin. If we back one step backward, as a hardware vendor, Advantech try to provide this kind of unified hardware and to be as your best partner on realizing software-defined automation. And for us, there are two key things to be running on all this standardized hardware. The first thing is the IEC 61131-3 based control runtime. And here we are teaming up with codices to provide all these kind of solutions to make your software POC ready to use. Second will be the protocol. EtherCAT is one of the most open protocol in the market, and these field bus actually are already very advanced that in the next few years you can always adopt in the latest hardware, no matter the control hardware or networking hardware, to deploy with EtherCAT to communicate all different kind of devices in the factory. So these two is definitely the core of Advantech hardware and why this hardware can play a crucial role in the factory of the era of software-defined automation. Right now, as you see this hardware system in the previous discussion, right now all these kind of different PC with a software technique, we call it the virtualization or software-defined automation. Right now, one hardware can actually run in multiple control systems at the same time. So this IPC is not only a virtualized PLC, it can be an AI-enabled platform or gateway, or it can even run as a test and measurement system. So to realize this, to help the user really get into this trend and not to falling behind to this evolution, we are so happy to co-work and officially announce these three partners, not only in Europe, but global wide, to officially co-work together and help our customers to realize a better factory. So that's acontis, Bosch Rexroth, and SALZ Automation.
And Jehong, we are very glad to be part of the entire ecosystem to bring value. Because as you mentioned, we can offer the platform of Control XOS, then customers can create applications, can choose them and run them on your hardware. Because by the end, the entire chain is important, right? You will still need for software to have it run on hardware at one point. And there it's great that you have such a flexible hardware system, right? Where you can choose multiple components and then bring them together. So that you can have as a customer the physical IOs that you actually need. And then to be able to have one middleware, if you write an application, if you pour your knowledge into one software little application, then you're able to run it on multiple hardware aspects. You don't need to transform it in somehow, but it is compatible with all the aspects which are underneath.
We've seen how Advantech provide the foundation, but the foundation is only useful if others can build on top of it. The true value of software-defined automation comes from the diversity of our partners, or in Advantech's own word, is called co-creation. This session itself demonstrates ecosystem collaboration. So, to our guest today, why is openness so critical for the success of software-defined automation? Jacob, let's start with you. From the perspective of an OS provider, why does the openness matter?
Because customers want to have a choice and they should have a choice. Because by the end, they will always say, okay, listen, I want to be flexible. I want to also program my own application. And I will want to be able to combine multiple functions, right? Because one vendor can't provide everything. And if so, they always need to make compromises. So as a customer, they say, okay, listen, I would love to have on my platform what I want. And we are dedicated, at least as Bosch Rexroth, to actually provide that, to really give this openness, this flexibility to the customer, because they then will always go for this one aspect of saying, okay, then I don't fear a vendor lock-in, because I can combine whatever I want to have to create the solutions that I want to have as a customer. That's the key aspect. And as you know, right, when we are in this wonderful ecosystem, but we have ControlX World, where we have multiple software vendors, which are all creating applications for specifically ControlX OS, as you've seen with the example of HD Vision or Ixon, so that from there on, a customer can always have a make or buy decision once again for multiple software components, right?
Yeah, thank you, Jaco. I think that's a wonderful explanation for the questions, and I believe choice is definitely the keyword here. Thomas from acontis, moving to the real-time layer, how does this openness help with integration complexity?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. And maybe I can also add something to what Jacob says, because this openness is key for us. For example, if you think about that, when we work on our hypervisor and integrate multiple OS, maybe even with containers like Docker into one device for testing, also our customers do, then there's one key, it's the open APIs, the open standards, because otherwise you always need to guess how can we exchange data. If there is an open standard where we exactly know how parts of the complete software automation, like the different applications, can work with each other, can exchange data, then it's much faster to get started. But the key is also you can test something. And if you find an issue, you can really look into the interface definition and find out, okay, where does the issue come from? Otherwise, it's really a long-term task, but here, key is really all the elements need to be work seamlessly together.
And thanks, Thomas from acontis. That was a great point. And I believe standardization really simplifies the engineering work for every aspect of automation industry. Finally, Thomas from SALZ, from the safety side, how does this open approach drive higher ROI for the customers?
With software-defined automation and the more flexible handling of application and vendor-independent hardware somehow, you are much more free in the sense that the investment you can tackle are foreseen, and even when changing something, you don't have this big investment barrier in front of that. You can always achieve a much higher return on invest when you want to keep your automation system and your production system in a modern way, that in that sense that you are able to keep speed on your own competitor area. And this is from my perspective the gain for users of software-defined automation, that the investments they will take, or they have to take, to keep speed in their competitive situation, are much more secure than in previous automation systems.